Hi everyone, it's yet another episode on Reels with CEO. It's been real, guys. I believe personally that, if each one can reach one to teach one, holding our hands, the world will definitely be a better place. So today we're going to be having an amazing conversation with an amazing guest, and honestly, I can't wait to delve in. But first, our special guest today is Abimbola Olayinka, popularly known as the Peace Connoisseur and the Faithful Parenting Coach. She's a pioneer member of the Peaceful Parenting Coach in Nigeria, founder of Girl Parenting Place, the creator of Peaceful Parenting Hub and the Peaceful Leadership. She's a member of the Forbes Business Council and the John Maxwell team member. Abimbola is a professional parenting, family educator, ardent leadership expert, emotional intelligence practitioner, positive psychology practitioner, human behavioral assessor, and author. So many caps and feathers on. She's a certified professional parenting coach from the Academy of Parenting Institute, Cote Portofino, Menifee, California, USA. The John Maxwell Team Certified Leadership, Parenting and Family Coach, certified and accredited human behavioral assessor from the Coaching Academy, United Kingdom, and the only redirecting children's behavior instructor here in Nigeria, representing Redirecting Children's Behavior International, Florida, USA. With her competencies over the years, she has positively affected thousands of families by managing mental health concerns, improving communication, and finding peaceful, positive, and respective solutions to the array of issues that plague different families and communities. Honestly, too much for just one single woman. She has equally equipped thousands of executives, leaders, locally and globally, both as an employee and as an employer, on the effective ways of leading peacefully at the workplace using emotional intelligence, corporate leadership, and positive psychology tools to maximize their potentials at work. Ooh, too much. Load, this woman is loaded. Abimbola is the creator of the Peaceful Model Framework for raising individuals, parents, and business leaders for peaceful leadership at home, in the workplace, and the nations for a more peaceful world. Don't we all need a more peaceful world? She is a preacher of peace at home and at work, a complete preacher of peace. Her work experience cuts across the oil and gas, banking, financial services, and the gaming industries. She's a complete peace preacher. She is the author of Peaceful Parenting, Parenting with Self-Awareness, Why Do Children Lie, Emotions and Parenting, and You and Your Emotions books. She's a best-selling author with so many books to her name, and she's just loaded, like I said earlier. Let's welcome Mrs. Abimbola Olayinka. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us today. Mrs. Olayinka has a slogan that says, "The peace begins with you." She's an advocate of peace, and in every aspect of her career, she's tried to build herself around this singular theme, peacekeeping. Today she's going to be talking to us about a lot of things, giving clarity to a lot of questions that we parents to be, have and want answers to. Whilst we're all having the best intentions when it comes to parenting, it always comes with those questions, and the answers are most times not very clear. It can be fun, sometimes confusing, sometimes even frightening to parent. But today we'll get clarity on some of these issues that we have. And so I'd like to go right into it, Mrs. Olayinka. So let's take our first question for today. Do you remember the popular saying, spare the rod and spoil the child? Everyone heard that. Do you think Nigeria is ripe for throw away the rod? Can we train without the rod in Nigeria, as we are beginning to see in the Western world practice?
Actually, I'd like to say thank you very much once again for having me on the special show. I'm excited to be here. So it's actually one of my, how would I put it now, one of my existence to impact people so that we can be more knowledgeable about who we are, self-awareness, and now to bring it to parenting this morning. I'm excited about the topic.
Amazing.
To be honest with you, ma'am, we're ripe enough. Honestly, because I train without using the punitive measures on my children, and I've trained thousands of parents on that as well. And a whole lot of parents out there are doing that. We're ready. However, it is important for us to reparent ourselves as parents to be able to toe that line, because you can't give what you do not have.
So we have to unlearn
some certain things. So I usually tell people that parenting is more about us as parents, less of the children. The moment we can get it right, it becomes easier to train the children because we're modeling for them. So if we're doing the right thing, it's easier for them to see and follow what we're doing. But if we have refused to unlearn the negative conditioning we grew up with, we'll be showing them. We'll be trying to teach them, but we're still modeling the wrong thing, so there will be confusion. So really we're able to reparent ourselves. It will be easier to parent the children, and we will not need to use any word.
There's another popular saying that you don't get to learn, it's difficult to learn how to use the left hand at old age. So how do we begin to parent ourselves?
Well, it's easy. It's just about the mindset. The same way you're learning different competences every day is the same way we learn. Parenting is a skill.
It's a life skill.
Exactly. So we learn it. We all then come with a manual from the hospital. They didn't give us.
I didn't get one.
I didn't get one either. So we learn on the job. So we must be open to learning. We must harness every resources we can lay our hands on. We can. It's possible. We all can learn.
It takes a village, really, to parent. A lot of us have heard. When we begin to welcome this parenting without the rod, how do you think really that our society, our climate will welcome this? Because then there are so many people involved in the child's life. And we as Nigerians are typically overly possessive of our children. So how then do you inculcate these other influential people into parenting without the rod?
Okay, so I'll remind you that it was those days that we usually say it takes the community to raise a child.
So it doesn't tell you, it does take a community with the social space.
Now we're so scared of what is happening around us that to even send your child to buy something on the next street, it's an issue. So it's not really taking the physical community anymore, maybe the social space now to raise the child. So the truth is, let's just get our skills rightly, and that is the truth. Children are not animal. I tell parents, no, we can't parent without the use of rod, because there will be consequences in place. It's not that you're not just going to beat them or something, but there will be consequences for every of their negative actions. So it could be maybe reducing their gadget time. It could be maybe, taking one luxury away from them or something, age-appropriate punishment. So it's just about being kind and firm as a parent. We don't have to use the rod. They are not animals. So I tell parents that if you started with the use of a rod from the beginning, it will be pretty difficult for the child to adjust to ordinary talking, no matter how firm it is. So the child too needs a lot of time to unlearn that aspect as well, so they can adjust to the new system. And that is why we preach consistency. So if you start using your kind and firm approach, at no point should you revert to the rod, because that means you're sending a signal to that child that you can't be trusted as a parent. It takes a lot. It takes a lot.
Oh, wow. This will take me right into the next question, still stemming from what we're talking about. Non-compliance is something a lot of parents, might experience at one stage or the other in their parenting progress. And persistence not coped, or properly managed can result in a problematic adulthood. How can, we as parents begin to handle this early, really marrying it with parenting without the rod? You understand what I'm asking?
Yes, ma'am. Just like I said earlier, if we as parents are practicing what we preach, we're not confusing that child. We're modeling the positive behaviors we want to see in that child. It will take little or less to nurture that child rightly. I said we must practice what we're preaching. There must be controls in place. There must be consequences for negative actions. And first off, we must love ourselves as parents. Because if you don't love yourself, you can't love that child. So it is all embedded under that family climate. There must be love. There must be peace. So if you raise a child in a peaceful way, yes, there might be issues because children like to test boundaries. It's part of their growth. In fact, if your child is not testing boundaries, there's a problem.
You should be worried.
Exactly, because it is developmental at that point.
I will attach that to non-compliance.
No, there are certain ages, So between the age of 4 and 6, it's just like lies. All children need to lie at one point or the other. They are using it to activate their critical reasoning. They want to test that boundary. So if your child is not going through that process, there's a problem somewhere. Because you must know that your child is intelligent, and every child is actually powerful, intelligent in different ways, But most times as parents, we look at the academic intelligence, that is their IQ. But, a child could be a graphic artist, it could be anything, it could be fashion designer, you see her drawing, sketching, but no. Take your math seriously. Face your
Science.
English. This, that. We all came to the world with our natural abilities and talents. And if we're not helping them to nurture this thing as well, it affects them. So I'm talking about some areas that you see defiance one way or the other because they know what they want. So you must parent the child in front of you, not the child in your head. The child in front of you is that child you're looking at.
With their God-given
capacities,
talents,
natural abilities, and the authentic child in front of you.
Amazing.
But majority of us, we have the picture of the child we want in our head. So we will now want to start shaping the child in front of us. Sometimes there will be that confusion. So most times, like I said, it starts with us as parents. But you can't understand the child in front of you if you don't understand yourself first. So that's why I work with parents first, so that it will be easier for them to work with their children.
Amazing.
So self-awareness for the
Wow,
parents.
this just goes back to speak to, parents trying to determine and, choose career paths and everything for their children. And you see those children fighting and struggling through it. So what you said is parenting the child, the authentic child in front of you, not the one that you are creating in your head. Amazing, amazing. So it's always good to speak to experts. You know, it throws more light into some of these confusions that we have, really. Okay, so let's delve into parenting styles now, because like you just mentioned, you need to parent the one in front of you. How do you determine, you know, what parenting styles will work for each child, really? What are the different parenting styles, and which is more adaptable for our client?
Okay, so we have the authoritarian, we have authoritative, we have permissible, and we have uninvolved. Those are the 4 styles. So the best style is actually the authority, because it's a two-straight communication with the parent and the child. That is authoritative parenting now. You know, you give information, you allow the child to process the information and give you feedback. You're not just giving orders and orders, like the authoritarian. So you can confuse the two. So authoritative parenting gives room for feedback. The parents with warmth and care, they understand the child. They give rooms for family meetings to seek the opinions of the children. They carry the children along. So the children knows that they are belonged into this community and that they are involved in every activity they are doing, and that their opinions matter because they matter.
And they actually learn to have an opinion.
You know. But other ones, like the authoritarian, you know, this, that, I want it done, this, that, that.
That's typical of Nigerian parents.
And that is why majority of us grew up to be who we are today. You know, you ask a lot of parents that they are still using that style, and they will tell you, I was raised in that manner and I'm successful. And I begin to ask, success is relative. How successful are you really? It is not about your financial balance. It's life is deeper than that.
Ms. Olayinka, so for a lot of parents, they feel like if they are successful and they can provide their children with a certain lifestyle, the children should be okay with that, and that's their measure of success.
That is part of what we're saying. Food, shelter, clothing, and the children are in the best schools.
Yes.
They have drivers, nannies, and that is the definition of success.
And they have holidays wherever they want.
Affluent and all of that. So that's why we say success is relative. But the true meaning of success is living a purposeful life, which majority of us do not understand. You do not really need to have everything, but you're raising godly, intentional, peaceful leaders that we desire to see in the future. That's the definition of success for some people. Some people will tell you that my peace of mind is my success. So it is relative to each of us in our clan, wherever we are. But it is not totally about the financial balance, actually. But our own reason, we feel the numbers, the number of cars, the number of wives, shoes, defines how successful we are, you know.
Or how many houses we have all around the world.
No, it's actually beyond that. It's beyond that. So you must be winning in your spiritual life, social life, family life, and what other life is that far off time? Social, family, spiritual. The fourth one is your work life.
Work life, yes. So, women are always talking about work-life balance and integration when it comes to, you know, family and work. So is there really a balance, or what is it that we're handling?
Okay, so there's really nothing like balance. It is integration that we're calling balance, actually. So in your own sphere of influence at home, your balance could be 80% work, 20% family, and it's working for you. Mine could be 40% work, 60% family. I'm talking about the attention span now, yeah? and it's working for me. So the strategy in my house may not work for you. So that is why we don't have a standard plan. So, family is dynamic in nature. So you have to assess your house. Why you're doing 60-40 is because probably your husband is fully on ground. So he's filling the gap.
Yeah.
So I'm doing 60-40 probably because my husband is not fully on ground. So if I adopt your strategy, it would affect me. If you adopt mine, it would affect you. So you have to work based
authentic family.
Absolutely.
You have to look inwards and not outwards. A lot of us are always trying to copy.
No, it doesn't work. Forget
you have to be original.
You have to consider the children, their feelings, the kind of children you're raising, your husband, your partner, everything, before you can actually determine
and the support you actually have
within the space, before you can actually know what exactly will suit you in that house. Mine won't work for you. Yours won't work.
We have a lot to learn, really. I'm not sure we addressed which parenting style, works in our climate, or which should work.
It's the authoritative. The authoritative is the best, whereby you give room for feedback from your child. Majority of us grew up with the authoritarian style, and it's not working. That is why we have a lot of damaged adults on the streets today. So damaged adults are actually raising damaged children. So that is the chaos we have in our society today. I can't just be taking instructions from you without you giving me a feedback. I'm not a robot. When you pass information to me, I should be able to process it and give you feedback.
Even when you speak to animals, they retaliate sometimes.
Exactly. So that is the best way to parent a child.
Authoritative.
You're raising that child with emotional intelligence, teaching that child the best to do things and how, because you're giving him or her the room to express himself or herself. You dialogue with the child. You banter. I use the word banter because you must feel your child. You play together roughly. It is not about being rude, because you must understand that you have a role to play as a parent and as a friend in that child's life. So when you're switching the roles and you're in the space of a friend, you let it bear. But that doesn't mean your child will be rude to you, because you've raised that child with discipline. That is authoritative. They understand there are rules, there are boundaries, there are consequences for actions, and the parents are raising the children kindly and firmly. That is the word. It is from authoritative that we took being kind as a friend and being firm as a parent.
So parents, authoritative it is. Let's find out more on how to actually be authoritative parents and guide our children better. And of course, Ms. Olayinka has several books. One is Why Children Lie. I wanted to mention it when we're talking about kids between the ages
Why
of
do children lie?
Yes, and that book gave amplified a lot of things that they call them terrific. Terrific for there's a 40 or something that just describes them at that stage, and you just see different aspects of the child. You begin to notice a lot of differences, and you're wondering, this child, I'm trying to guide this child in the right direction. How come he's beginning to tell little lies? How come he's beginning to become a little terror? They call them different things: terror, terrific, for terrific, this. So I think this book would also help a lot of parents.
Yes, at every point a child needs to grow, so they are growing their ability to think effectively. So they want to tweak some things to know whether it will work, so that they can test their limit too and know that yes, they are getting there.
Can do this. Okay, so I would also like to take on the next question now. Is it right for children to be competitive? How do you, as a parent, find the balance to ensure competitive doesn't end up as combative?
Okay, so we have healthy competition and unhealthy one. So if it is a healthy one, fantastic, whereby the younger sibling is looking up to the older one academically, behaviorally, and all of that. But when it is turning to envy, then we have that issue.
How do you begin to measure?
So that is when you realize that a particular child covets whatever belongs or whatever the other person is doing. Mommy, I want that particular shoe you bought for so. Or that person is doing music. Initially, the other child had said, I'm going to be doing maybe taekwondo. And at a point, okay, I'm changing to, and you can see the pattern. You know, it's not just what you can discover overnight. That's why we say you must be present physically and emotionally so that you can study the pattern before you be able to deduce that, okay, I think there's an unhealthy competition going on in here. You will know only when you're present.
Only when you're present, really.
You will know.
Amazing. Let's delve a little bit into favoritism at this point. What are the effects of this on the individual child? Are parents supposed to have favorites? And what are the effects of this favoritism on the individual child?
It is actually wrong to have favorites, really, but somehow we've been able to argue it. That's pretty difficult to a larger extent. So I feel we should just be disciplined enough not to show it. Because it is only normal when you have a child that is actually gentle, you give instructions, no azus, and taking...
And is naturally drawn to you
as a parent. And you have another one that it is always one major issue or the other. It's only normal that your love will gravitate a little. Because I can't even open my mouth fully to say it, to one side, So I think it's just about...
But as a coach, do you encourage this?
No, we do not. But we're just being human because that is what humans do. It is only normal. However, be discreet about it because it is normal.
So that's where the problem is. The discretion.
So the truth is, if you like this particular one because of the natural nature and the child is naturally drawn to you as well, you must like the other person. That's why I'm saying you have to be disciplined so that you don't show it. But I'll be honest with you, even you with your siblings, you have one that you like. Let's just be practical here. Let's leave the theoretical aspect.
I agree. So
that's why I like to be practical. That it is only normal. Somehow we try, but you just see that it could even be your last one. Somehow, but the older ones will just say it passively. Mom, you now say that when they need anything, they'll be sending that child to you because they've realized that is your eye,
Gets your
so
attention.
to speak, and all. But let's just be disciplined about it and you don't show it, and if possible, you don't have it, if possible.
Well, for a lot of parents and who have watched their children grow, gradually you begin to see, those who naturally, a lot of us are affectionate people. We just do not know and don't, understand it initially. So that child who always comes to you to check in on you, to, compliment you, to want to lend a hand, naturally you'll be drawn to that child. And for me, what I have tried to do with my kids is try to put the other ones on the right path too, so that I am not, in my head trying to appraise one over the other. So if you notice this and you feel a bit uncomfortable with it, then I think begin to guide the other ones. I love it when my son comes and says, "Oh, Mom, you look very nice." oh, I love you so much, just random things. And I'll begin to tell the other ones,
can't you see me? Am I not fine this afternoon?
I'll take your phone. I'm like, why are you not appreciating mommy's look today? Or have you called me? Did you call me the entire day to check in on me, especially during their holidays? And they have their gaming time and, screen time and, phone time. And more than half the time, they're just engulfed in it. And I'll just come back, I'm like, so you had your phone the whole day and you didn't think it wise to check in on mommy. And then I noticed that, it became a bit, they become a bit more conscious. I'm not trying to mention names here. The other people begin to get a little more comfortable with doing it. They begin to get more conscious. I just think really it's in how you want them to, act at the right time. Because if you imbibe these things in them, if you talk them into it, then it will become a norm. So you don't really have to choose the favorite. Sometimes some children come out different, like God just made this one special. But when you notice that, so we're all different actually. We're completely different. And because we have two families, two backgrounds, two DNAs coming together, it might not, be totally perfect. None of you is perfect. So what you see in your partner that you don't see in yourself, you can try to complement. And this is one conversation I really want us to have today. We're always doing this Mother's Day talks, Mother's Day activities, Women's Day talks, Women's Day activities, International Women's Day, always talking about, almost the same things, break the bias, making sure that we take our place in the society. And at the end of the day, I ask a lot of women, a lot of mothers, who is raising that boy? Who are the people raising those men? Because if we keep re-emphasizing it every year, that means we're not doing something right.
The men manifesting the negative behavior in the society today, right?
Yes.
It's actually...
It's a conversation we're going to have today. And so let me leave it out there. What I will just say from what I do is, if I see things that one child is doing and I think that's really right, I try to, put the others through it. Yes, on the right path. And where they need support them. That's what I'll say. That would help really reduce that. Can't you see your brother? Can't you see your sister?
Absolutely.
Blots that Nigerian parents always do. Your brother always does his assignment. You don't do your assignment. You have to make me up. Your brother always this, or your sister always is upright, all on time, properly dressed. You have to give me hassles. We do that, but we don't know.
We're doing it. And the implications, right? So that's why I said we
and that's why I'm bringing you back to what is the effects of this favoritism.
The unlearning aspect, actually. Like I said, we need to unlearn, like, all those traits you're mentioning now are part of what we're supposed to unlearn. It is not right to compare a child to another. No. That is not effective parenting. It is not peaceful parenting. It is not intentional parenting. An intentional parent with self-awareness, with emotional intelligence. An intentional parent understands that your words would actually mean something, and it will erupt whether a positive or negative feeling
on that child.
So is that awareness? So you will not, after you've unlearned all those things, you will not be found saying such things, because you put yourself in the child's shoes. Then you remember the many years back that mommy or daddy said that to you, and you remember the feeling that occurred. So you wouldn't want to pull that on that child. And that's why I said, so I'm talking from a point of, okay, we've unlearned and all of that, and you're trying to manage the love within the children. It is normal. You have to give all of them equal love. But like I said it in quote, it's not as easy as we think, and I was just being practical.
True.
So, but we should just do our best and ensure that we love them equally if possible, and if it's not possible, just do your best to ensure that you love them equally.
You manage the situation.
You manage the situation.
That's very political. Okay, let me go back to that conversation I want us to have.
Okay, ma'am.
Really should, how do I coin it now? It's not part of the questions I put here, but having this conversation has brought it back to me. I mentioned earlier that every year we come back celebrating the International Women's Day, when we got the liberty to be able to ask and speak freely, chase our dreams and all, and we keep talking about the things we want to do, the powers we want to get to break these barriers, the glass ceilings, and all that. And I always go back and ask, these things that we're saying that we need to be able to do this, we need our voices to be heard, we need to be given an opportunity. Nobody gave the men the opportunity, they took it. So why do we, when we pray as mothers or as fathers, as parents, we don't pray to God and say, dear God, today, bless Ichichi, but don't bless her too much so that she doesn't go and try to usurp authority, or try to be smart or too wealthy or too outspoken or too intelligent or too... No parent makes that kind of prayer. When do we then begin to segregate between what the man should be able to do and what the woman should have limits on? Who are those parents raising those boys that were constantly praying that God should curb their wings?
Okay, so this is a generational issue. So we'll go back to our forefathers.
And that's them. Oh my God.
So the issue is, in this part of the world,
oh my God,
men were raised with so much power. So the culture of power for men is like the power belongs to the men and the women are behind. It's a wrong belief system. Very faulty. We grew up with it. So even now, when you see intentional men, intentional fathers, like I'll give it to Dr. Ned as well. In fact, the very day I was there, and I'm handing over, I said, we need more men like you. We need more men like you to come out there and actually carry the megaphone and loud it. That women are powerful, we're strong, we're intelligent. And I tell people, God created us differently. Mm-hmm. The fact that we're able to actually go through, the 9 months of pregnancy, He equipped us with the tools to thrive even more than men. But majority of us are not aware of that. And that is why we're bringing women to that awareness that we should own our space. But we're owning the space, we're breaking the barriers out there, we're leaving the glass at home. So that is the issue we have. When we come back into our house, we're not being intentional about the men we want to see in the future. We're so consumed
with raising the girl
child. We're not focusing on the boy child. And I tell parents, they should be raised simultaneously. What you need a boy child to know, a girl child needs to know it. What a girl child needs to know, a boy child, so that they will be able to decipher when to apply the right tools. Okay, girl child should be in the kitchen and know how to cook. What is stopping a boy child from learning how to cook? But it doesn't mean that he will go on the street and be cooking. He will cook in his house. Just the same way.
But there are professional male chefs nowadays anyways.
The truth is, it is now that we're embracing all of these things.
True.
Before, man is cooking.
The boys are meant to be watching TV. and playing with their toys or their friends.
I will drop a bombshell. I was having a conversation with somebody and, one of my clients, and I said, well, anytime my husband is around, we do the school drop-off. At his level, I told my husband, I said, that means that man is not serious. You can, 21st century parents saying this.
That your husband is not serious.
That is why
because
he's creating time to drop his children off.
Does he know the more he does?
So what I'm trying to say is, you should still understand that.
Oh my God.
This belief is still holding a lot of people down. So in some homes, women cannot even hear their voice. We still have it.
They can't open their mouth.
They can't have it. We still have that barriers in this 21st century conversation we're having. And yes, we'll dress up. They know they are going for it, but when they come back, we forget all the barriers and all of that. As in the tools we paid to learn, the women receiving, let our voice be heard, feminine. By the time you get back into your house, you go jeje into
and you continue raising the same voice.
So that is the issue we're having, because we're not being intentional. I don't know, and even some men are not making it easy for their wives. I've got clients like that the husband will be telling the wife, don't let my son go into the kitchen. No. The kitchen is not meant for him, and all of that.
How do we begin to deal with this?
Well, by being peaceful, being intentional, and being strategic. Okay, so when you have that kind of man, it is already late to start training the man. So you look for avenues to start training the children when the man is not around.
Ms. Olayinka, I want us to be practical with this, because really, I always say it every year, International Women's Day, we're saying the same things. And we're still raising these men. Because we've been celebrating it for how many years?
Seriously, guys, let me make it clear. In some homes, it's not as easy.
I know.
As we're saying it.
I know.
So if we're intentional as women, the only trick is to ensure that the man is not around, and you start to equip the child with the tools and say, the kind of lifestyle your father is living will not work for you in 5-7 years time to come. So this is the way you need to know, this is the way you need to live. Your father will say this, but this is the way.
But then if they're not learning from both parents,
is it now that we want to, all these our overgrown men, bringing them on the table
so
now with so much ego, power? It's tough, but the work lies with women. We can't take that off. It can be tiring, because as you're feeling, somebody's dispensing. As you're feeling, so we are not going to get tired. It's about us. I said it earlier, that God naturally has equipped us with a tool, so we should not get tired. All the courses, seminars we're going for, we should come back, apply it when possible. In some homes, it is tough. I deal with families. It can be very tough. But for the majority of us that we can handle, so we will do our best. And to ensure that we're raising the children rightly, some children are also even having issues with their fathers. No, Daddy, I want to do it. So Daddy does this, Daddy, why are you not doing it at home? They are beginning to question their fathers as well. So, but for those of us that we have the capacity and an enabling environment, let's keep doing the needful.
Okay.
Let's keep doing the needful. It's a tough climb we have here because of our culture. That culture of the men must always be in front.
Yes.
So it's tough.
I absolutely agree. And hopefully these conversations will help, go a long way to begin to reshape their mindset.
I press.
Okay, so let's go to the next question. At what point should parents begin to build the connections, open lines of communication with their children and what's, especially with the exposures of today's social world? And when should we begin sex education really?
Okay, so emotional connection actually begins from here. So as soon as you know that you're pregnant, you start to talk you'll be romancing your pregnancy, so to speak. You start to build that bond, you know. And as you're giving birth to the child, but like I said, it starts with us because you can't give what you don't have.
Some people have tough times during pregnancy.
So even beyond that, if you're having traumas that you're yet to resolve, you have a lot of issues with yourself, you don't even have time to be romancing the pregnancy, you know. So it begins with us. I tell a lot of young couples now that you need to resolve whatever trauma you know, because we know when you have traumas, you know.
We know.
So seek help, seek intervention so that you don't create that same circle. So, because if we're, like I said, if we're peaceful, if we understand ourselves, we're aware, it will be easy to connect. There will be no barrier. But if you can't even connect with yourself, how can you connect with the child in front of you? So it begins with us. So let's assume that you're self-aware as a parent now, you've done the needful. Connection comes naturally with the child because there will be no barriers. So the bond is just to now keep nurturing the bond so that at the end of the day, you have that strong relationship with your child. And as soon as the child is getting to age, we do say we have age-appropriate words we use for the private parts for the child. So we don't teach PP, we call it directly so that the child can be accustomed to that name, so that if there's any issue, the child is not saying P, he says my penis directly, you understand what that child is saying.
But a lot of parents are uncomfortable with saying the word. How do we get comfortable?
It's still because of that conditioning, the way we were raised. That is the issue we have. It's that wrong mind belief system and condition, the cultural system that some of us can't even still have such conversations with our parents. Have you been to a wedding ceremony whereby the father and the mother of the bride will even be able to look at the couples kissing?
Yeah.
They don't want to look at it. They're still not believing that that young girl.
Yes, even the girl will be shy. She want to kiss her husband in front of her parents.
Like I said, when we reparent ourselves, parenting becomes easier. So parenting, it's not about the child, it's about us as parents. All of these things, you would understand how it works. We'll forget all those wrong, I call them wrong programming. We've been programmed wrongly. So we delete all those ones with virus and we begin to update our programs and understand that you need to have conversation with your child. So a child that you've taught the right name for each part, a child that understands that, because you're always available for that child, even in the midst of your deliverables and all of that, a child that you're constantly feeling with love, attention, and care will not seek for it elsewhere. A child that you've affirmed of how worthy, how loved, and all of that will not seek for it out there. So if there's anything that is contradictory to what you've taught the child, you'll be the natural person the child will come to first because you're constantly available, both physically and emotionally. So the arm that will even come near that child, the person too will try, knowing that there's a connection between those two and the availability is always there. So if there's any issue at any point, your child will come to you first. So we'll say sexual education starts from as soon as the child can talk. So that the child, that's in sexuality education now, knowing
the body parts,
and all of that.
And then, knowing that they shouldn't allow
anybody to touch. So it can become a bit more serious from age 4, 5. And
I think maybe even, well, when they can begin to understand, because they abuse even younger children.
Yes. You know, when the child can actually place the finger on the right word, the labeling of each, it will be easier for the child to communicate. So touch here and touch there. Madam, we live this world we're in now. I'm just trying to, the world is evil. Your statement now just draw me, you know, it's becoming scary.
Because we've read about 2-year-olds.
I don't know why and how we got here. It's pretty bad. I can't really place my hand on how terrible. Honestly, what brought us here, how we landed here, morally, ethically, it's tough. I can't state. If you begin to say, could it be poverty? Could it be
frustration?
Could it be what? You can't.
Could it be bad parenting too?
Bad parenting, yes. I said it earlier that damaged parents are raising damaged children.
Yes.
So the cycle will continue. But now the issue of all of this now, you know, it's so sad that we can't even trust our next door neighbor anymore.
You're going too far to neighbor.
Honestly,
because within your family, you also have reservations.
Now, it's tough, and that is what made parenting a lot tougher now than it used to be, because you're kind of doing everything alone. The federal government is not helping, because there's a role for the government in parenting, there's a role for the community, and there's a role for parents. But parents are the only one doing all of this, and they're not even trusting the support around them anymore.
And you can't even trust what they come in contact with, because you're not there with them 24/7. And the world has been overtaken with technology and it's not,
So technology
it's not
is
easy.
good,
It's very
and it's
good.
bad. It depends on the angle we're viewing it from. So if you're going to introduce your children to technology, you must teach them what technology is, and there must be control in place. No, you just leaving them with gadgets.
I told my daughter 2 days ago, I said, even the controls that parents have tried to put into these gadgets, that is children of nowadays. I made her laugh. I said, you Gen Zs, find a way to try to outsmart your parents.
Absolutely.
And she was laughing.
Okay, so when I say control now, it's beyond the gadgets too. You've also put controls in place in the heart of that child.
Absolutely.
You've raised a godly child.
Absolutely.
The child understands as soon as I'm viewing this and this is popping, there's that control. You exit.
But they are curious humans. They are curious. They are young at heart and they are curious. They want to see. They want to understand. They want to know. How do we?
We can't lock them up. We can't lock them up. That's the reality.
Wow.
We can't lock them. So
a lot. I'm sorry, Miss Olayinka. A lot of mothers are clueless. How do we do it?
Okay, so
a lot of mothers are clueless. They are trying to lock the internet and restrict the age, restrict TV, restrict gadgets, restrict. Somehow they get exposed to some of these things. How do parents
if
do
they're
it?
not even exposed to it at home, they're exposed to it at school.
So that's what I'm saying. I heard a very shaking story. Somehow a child managed to take one of these inappropriate videos on a laptop and took to school.
And they were viewing.
It was saved on the laptop, so it's not like you need access from the yes. And somehow was showing, and then of course, like I said, they're curious. So more came, and they were trying to, and then somehow, they were found out. But how do we? Well, a lot of us are asking, how you can't. We're not magicians, but I know that God gives the grace.
Absolutely.
Apart from the grace, you are a coach. This is what you do. How can we help a lot of these mothers and parents who are clueless
out there? The first thing I would say is you must be self-aware first as a parent. Self-aware, train yourself, upskill. It's not only in the business world that we upskill. As a parent, you must upskill. Learn what is going on. Be ahead of these children. You cannot be laid back as parent anymore. If it is to learn the technology, you have to. And raise these children with the fear of God, not just by saying it, not just by preaching
No matter
it,
your faith.
but act it. Let them understand that the moral lines are clear, not blurry. They understand that this is black and this is white, not that this is in between black and white. Those are the only things. We cannot do more than that. It is what we've given to this child, whatever value, the value system we've inculcated inside of them, which is what is helping us to as parents today. Our belief, our discipline. Because a lot of parents too are going through a lot because they are not disciplined. So if you raise the child that you filled with a positive value system, that is what is working for us. That they will not go into the world, they will go. That they will not mix with other children, they will mix. But what will stand them out? Their values.
So parents,
Their values.
as coach is saying, the right value system
Absolutely.
is what will do the magic in our homes.
We are here now. They are in school. Even in church. We're not sitting together.
No, we're
In
not.
parties. So they have to go. But it is the work you've done that will be the receipt they will bring back to you.
Amazing.
So if you've done
Amazing.
well, you will
Yes.
get positive report card. And if you haven't done well, you still get your result too, ma. So we should not be afraid. Rather, let us divert that energy into doing the needful, being available and fully involved in anything
And
that
it requires
concerns
a
our
lot of
children.
patience.
A lot of patience. That's why I preach the peaceful part of parenting, because it takes a peaceful parent to raise a peaceful child. It takes a chaotic parent to raise a chaotic child, because children actually watch us for a living. So it is
Where
what
their
they
TV,
see.
where the screen,
It's
even
what
before
they
they're
see,
exposed to that.
is what they manifest. True. That's why modeling comes first, because they visualize even before they hear. So when they see that mommy and daddy are always doing the good thing, it may not necessarily be right, the good thing all the time, there's tendency that they'll follow that path. And let's now bring a bit of Bible into it, that teach a child in the way of the Lord. So that means there's a way. So what is the way? It is the process. So let's follow that way. And you cannot show somebody the way when you're not available.
Or when you don't even know the way yourself.
Absolutely.
Parenting is quite a lot.
It's a lot, man. And everything rises and falls on that altar. What is happening in the society today is what is happening at home today. You know, the society is in chaos today. I tell people, because the family system
Is in chaos.
There's a lot of issues at home now. Parents don't have time. So where we should land now is parents are not even creating that time to raise the children because of survival. And you know, the three main instincts of man is self-preservation. That is the instinct, sexual instinct, and the third one, okay, it will come to my head now. So now let's talk about the self-preservation, which is a survival. We want to eat. We want to wear good clothes. We want to send them to school. We want to do all of that. And it's not easy. Like I said, the government are not doing their part. The society too, nobody's helping anymore. So it's all on parents. So we lose it along the line. We're not giving them the attention they desire. So those are where the lapses are.
Wow. Honestly, it's quite a lot to deal
It's a
with
lot to deal
as a parent, really. But we have to find a way to be the best at it. Okay.
There's a shift in your mood already.
Honestly, I know I'm speaking for myself and a lot of mothers. It's quite tough. I run a busy life, and I have to integrate this work and this life, family life, and sometimes you just cannot be there present every time. And so what you have just said is create the value system from the beginning. Okay.
Let your children understand it. That, like in my house, we have the vision for the family, the mission for the family, and the part each of us need to take for the vision and the mission to work.
Oh, wow. So you created the vision statement, the mission statement for your family, and how everyone gets to make sure that these goals are achieved.
So we all have a responsibility. You do your part, they do their part. If you fail in your part, they will fail in their own part.
Amazing.
So it's a two-way stream.
Amazing. Internal control, she re-emphasizes, is the only thing that will restrain that child from, whatever activities that are raised outside the home that the child is not supposed to partake in, and would feel free to come and speak to you about it because you have created that room, that environment in your home. Okay, let's move on to what expert advice would you like to share with us today on raising confident and capable children with the consistent bullying in our society? We've touched on this, and I don't think we can talk about it enough.
Just model any positive behavior you wish to see in your child, because in the four walls of your home, under your family climate, the way you talk to yourself first, the way you talk to your children, the way you talk to others around
your partner,
how shaping the child in front of you. So model confidence in front of those children, model self-love, love for others. When you model all these positive behaviors, it is normal. Their self-esteem will be intact. It is lack of self-esteem that you're saying that is happening out there. So when you've already overfilled the esteem of that child already, they will not go out and be looking for confidence or any other thing.
For those who actually are doing the bullying, is lack of confidence.
It's lack of confidence.
So
lack of self-esteem is low self-esteem.
Yes.
Bullies are looking for the external factors
to make them feel
their
good.
esteem. Yes. So when they have the right tools and the right attitude from home, they are seeking. Others are just seeking for things they don't have outside. So they know that you will not naturally accord me the respect I desire. So I will force it because I yearn
for respect.
Absolutely. Because they are not respected at home. Anything you see a child looking for out there is the opposite that they are facing at home.
Wow.
So respect is reciprocal.
How do you make sure that your child handles this outside?
A child that you've raised with self-esteem, a child that you've raised with confidence. You don't see
facing a bully all the time. You're constantly bullying this child, even when the child has self-esteem and control. Sometimes it can be overwhelming and overbearing.
They are authorities.
Okay.
So your child understanding that I am fit, I am strong, I am confident, I am loved, I love myself, and this bully comes, there will be warning first from that child because of the way you've raised that child. Stop bullying me. The second time, stop bullying me. The third time, he or she will report to the appropriate authority.
Amazing.
So after reporting at school, if she feels that they are not doing the needful, don't forget, this child constantly have a connection and communication with the parent. She would also be feeding you back at home too. So you will know the right time to step in.
So you just have to be present.
You have to be present
as a parent.
As she's reporting to the authority, even from the first day the bully bullied her, she'll tell you randomly at home.
Olayinka, how do you look for food, look for clothes for this child, look for school fees money, and still sit down and cook food, and still sit down at home and be present?
Honestly, I tell people that we just have to do what we have to do.
Magic.
That magic, how we're going to do it. So even if it is just 1 hour, I understand that we have to work and it is tough out there. But you don't want to come home because you don't want to wait till weekend.
Because a lot of parents leave home, and like you said, the government part, we're also playing it. So because of the lack of infrastructure in so many areas, some parents have to, wake up at odd hours and leave before the children. So they are practically raised by the nannies. They are helped to get ready for school. They get to school, they come back, they are just all in the hands of the caregiver.
Even if it's an hour.
When do you get that hour? At work?
It could be when you return back. You cannot.
They might be asleep.
You have to wake them.
Kids, you have to wake them.
You cannot not have conversation with your child. That is a problem we're having now. You must have conversation with your child.
They are going to school the next morning. How do you wake them
You
up?
will wake. They will open their eyes, because a child that knows that my mommy loves me, as soon as she will open the eyes. Hey, mommy, how are you? I'm sorry. Is everything? Yeah, mommy. At times, they'll say, mommy, I'll tell you something. You cannot leave your child unattended for a whole week. It is tough.
Because they'll forget.
They'll forget. I have bankers, clients, all of that. Even if it's an hour, you must wake that child up. You need to have conversation with your child daily. They will forget, even if it's 30 minutes. If it's for you to bathe, I give them some strategies. Bathe your child in the morning. If you wake up 3 a.m., wake that child 3 a.m., bathe that child. Let that bathing time be that bonding time. Yes.
You have to find the time.
You have to find the time.
What works for
how
you.
It works.
It might not be the same in all the homes.
Find that time. Minimum of, they say 30 minutes, but minimum of 31 hours every day.
So are you going to be having, for someone who has 5 children, what do you do?
How you're going to do it? You will do it.
You'll be having 30 minutes with each child, or you have it all together?
So what we do is we tell parents, even when you have the group bonding,
you have to have it.
So it could now be maybe once every week, you'll be taking them out individually on Saturdays or Sundays. It is tough, but it is how desperate you want it.
It is how desperate you want it.
Okay, so because parenting involves two people, the father and the mother.
Yes.
So even if mommy is not available to do this, the daddy should be available to have conversations with the children.
So you can interchange.
The days. You can change rules. Yes. Sometimes it could be daddy in the kitchen. It could be depending on what works for your home. But parents too should change rules effectively. We do that. So we're equipping parents now, both daddy and mommy. No particular chore is actually sex sensitive or no.
Or even having conversations with your children.
You can do the same. You can do the same.
Anybody can pick up that 1 hour or 30 minutes a day conversation with them. It could be mommy today and daddy tomorrow. And that helps both parents actually bonding with the children, really.
And there's this thing as well, because if the kids knows that you do not have their time, there's this we tell parents too. In the morning, you check your children's bags. Majority of parents don't do that. A lot of children are stealing from school. You're not aware. Don't keep it in their bags. They keep it in their bags. So this happened in a particular primary school. A child stole a friend's wristwatch for 3 days. It was in the bag. And they saw when he stole it, he denied. The parents came to fight the school. By the time they emptied the bag right in front of the class teacher and everything, the wristwatch fell.
Oh my.
So that very day, I inculcated that habit. So every day. So there's that awareness that mommy can check her bags at any time. We're not raising thieves. However, we're putting controls in place so that they know that you don't come home with something that is not yours.
To you. Because I've heard parents say, I've done everything possible. What have I not done? Yet you still did this.
And to them, they've done everything possible. So that child, they've not done everything possible because they're trying to parent that child the way they were parented, not the way that child
or the way they actually want themselves. And not parenting the authentic child in front of them.
So either the way they were, because we've been handed a manual unconsciously. So majority of us parent from that manual. That's the way we were raised. Along the line, because of what the society is today, we now want to start parenting based on what Mr. A is parenting. Some of us are earning 200,000 naira. We want to put our children in 1 million naira school because our friends, our circle,
and
to
neighbor,
even say that
everyone.
we're not parenting that child anymore.
And you're busy trying to measure up.
So we're beginning to parent Mr. A's child because that is no more our child.
You're beginning to live Mr. A's
life and all of that. So a lot are going in, but the child in front of you has a particular style, a dynamic, specific way to be raised, but you're not seeing that child. You're saying Mr. A's child that is swimming, is doing taekwondo, you will force your child, you must do, did you not see Tayo is doing taekwondo? Meanwhile, this child just wants to be drawing.
Can't you see that Mr. Tayo's son is playing football? You don't want me to earn football money.
Did you understand?
They want to be football managers and collect.
And you now know the
pounds and dollars.
Madam, each child tells us how to raise them. Are you aware? Each child.
Please explain.
The child in front of you is naturally telling you how to raise him or her. By the style, by the way they talk, by what catches their interest. Everything around them is telling you how they want to be parented, but we're not seeing it. A child that draws is telling you, I want to draw.
I want to be an artist.
I want to be an artist at the end of the day because I like drawing. You're not seeing it. You're putting that child into swimming. The child constantly comes to you to engage you. The child likes conversations because the love languages differs, and the love language actually also tune them into their way of life. But because you're not seeing it, you don't know
You're
that
too
child
busy,
that
you're not
constantly engages
sensitive.
you is actually going to be in maybe talk and what are all those communications and all of
journalism.
that. Even from school, debate and whatever to
Public speaking.
nurture that gift. We're not saying it. The child doesn't like to eat eba. The child likes semo or something. We'll be forcing the child to eat. They're telling
But
us.
this one you mentioned, why must children choose what food they want? We as parents are trying to guide them to get a balanced diet, and it's endless parenting. I struggle with that. My boys like certain food. My daughter, everybody's choosing. They don't want to eat beans. They don't want to eat this. They don't want to eat that. How do you cope with all that when you know that all those things are healthy for them?
Yes, they would eat it. But I tell parents that children need to understand why they are eating the food now. We're not raising also. We're raising 21st century children. That's why I said we need to come to their level. They need to know why they need to, because that's why the why, until it is all answered. Then you see that it is easy to parent them. People ask that, I treat my children like we're mates and all of that, and they don't hear noise raising boys. It's because constantly I'm there to supply the why. So we don't struggle.
A lot of parents don't like answering the questions.
So
It gets
who asks you to, there are some
frustrated.
questions to even myself. I would have to take a step back. But I'll readjust my mindset because they can ask critical questions. Sometimes it can be annoying to us, but they are just simple questions. But it is offensive because our conditioning doesn't accept that kind of question. Children don't probe adults.
Who said? Who gave the rule? Adults. Okay, let's take a very last question for today. Honestly, I've had an amazing time listening to these conversations. I am learning a lot. Every day I am open to conversations that will help me be, a better parent. We can't say the best because there's always room for improvement. So I want to be a better parent every day to my children and those who are not even my children, those who are around me. And, I don't have the monopoly of knowledge. Neither do you, the coach.
It's a journey.
Yeah, so we keep
And we're
learning.
all
And honestly, I have learned a lot speaking to you today. The very last thing, you just spoke about it. You are a do-it-yourself, a DIY parent. How has this helped you, in building your own home, your relationship with your children and your family?
Okay,
So first speak to us about DIY and then.
So, as a DIY parent, it's a path I intentionally chose. I was not forced to do it.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, there's a difference between being forced to do something and when you choose it, you know.
So did you think about it before you became a parent or during the journey? How did you come about being a deal? Because Nigeria, we love support. We want, the caregivers to handle most of those things that you would ordinarily be handling.
Honestly, I'm not even sure. I don't know how that actually, I just knew that I wanted total care for my children. I wanted to be there for them at every point in time. I had always grown with this mindset of having a peaceful world. You know, people say I'm crazy, but I know it's doable. So, and I know the peace begins with me and it starts at home. So immediately we got into marriage conversation and I understand the kind of work my husband is actually into. So I told him, I said, I will be available for the children. The two of us cannot not be available and all of that. And I know that you're shaping your child by every word, every sound, and anything around your own. So I want to be sure that this is my child. It could be in another 5-6 years, I could employ more hands and all of that in doing all of these things. But now I can say, this is my child. Not, this is Nosa, my cleaner, talking through my child. This is Ada, because you hear your children say some things and you know that no, is a
they picked this,
and all of that, So I was just intentional about it by choice.
So you wake up every day, you do the getting ready for school, you do the drop off, you do the pick up, you do the banter, you do everything.
They know. I'm a cleaner and my friends do call me power woman, really, by nature. But I'm like, we all have the ability, but we use it differently. So I chose to use mine here. Where you're using yours too, you're doing the needful and you're employing other hands. You've put structure in place as well. But I chose to be the structure in place at home. So whatever work I do till a certain time, they know I've closed for the day. I have to do the primary work till a certain time again. So it's shaping my children.
How is it working for you?
It's working for me. It's not affecting my business because the word contentment is key. So contentment, and it's not because, I'm not saying parents should do the same, because you must have what you've eaten.
Everything works for everyone.
And you must also have something in your belly before you say you're no more hungry.
I know.
So
true.
You must ensure that facilities are in place. You don't want to sit at home a certain hour when you know that there's nobody supporting. You understand what I'm trying to say? So it's working. It's not affecting my business life. It's not affecting my personal life. It's not. And I've equipped them with the tools because my 12-year-old boy is taking perfect care of his brother. So I can even go for meetings when they're in the house now, and I'm fine. So they understand that the kitchen is meant for both men and women.
But before he got to that stage, in their early formative years, how difficult was this?
I didn't see it as difficult. People around me saw it as difficult, but I didn't see it. Remember I said it's a path I chose.
It's intentional.
So it's intentional. So when you choose something, you're deliberate about it. Consciously or unconsciously, you're deliberate about it. So you're not going to feel it. Have you seen where they'll be telling you that the man that woman wants to marry is ugly? And the woman will be saying, my husband is the best man on earth.
But I told you, I said the worst people to advise.
Because they will not see
people in love, they have coconut heads.
They will not see it. So DIY is tough, I agree. But some of us are built for that tough road, while some are not. So it's just understand yourself. Do you do what works for you
and your
as
family.
long as you're doing the needful to raise the leaders we need to see tomorrow. So a DIY may not work for Mr. A, but it's working for Mr. B. Just check yourself, check your family climate, do the numbers, speak to your husband, have communications with your children. So what works for you will work for you at the end of the day, man.
Oh, wow. With all said and done today, with our amazing guest, Mrs. Olayinka, she's just further, emphasized that parenting is a great calling, and what works for one family might not work for the other. She's a DIY parent. I'm not. I don't think I'm built for that. Forgive me. I don't know if I can do that, but then it's only when you try something that you'll be able to. She chose that path, and it's absolutely working for her.
Well,
True.
It's because of the support system.
Yeah, I know, and
that's
why I started with, back here we have a lot of support. So, living out there is a bit different. So who knows? I might be able to. So it's a noble and amazing calling and awesome responsibility that actually involves a huge amount of work. As a mom, as a dad, it involves you. It's you have to be deliberate. You have to be intentional when you're taking that road. When you make the decision to be a parent, not everyone wants to be a parent, and that's okay too. But then if you decide that you want to be a parent, for us parents, we have to actually be present. We can't contract everything to caregivers or to teachers or to other influential people in the lives of our children. Yes, we can do it alone, because even though she's a DIY parent, her kids still go to school, and so those people they meet there begin to influence their lives. Their lives outside, that environment she has created. But when they come back home, she's present, she's there. So you have to be present. You have to be deliberate to raise these peaceful leaders that we want for our future tomorrow. Thank you so much. I hope you've been able to pick one or two or even a lot of nuggets like I have picked out of these conversations today. They are not enough. We can't have enough. I had millions of questions I told her when she got here, but of course we can't talk about everything today. Just maybe we'll bring her back, or we'll bring someone who will talk about it again. But we'll keep having these conversations. It is certain that we must keep reminding ourselves. The holy books are written for our constant reminder. And so advocacy is also never going out of fashion. Absolutely. So make sure that you equip yourself with the knowledge, the experience that you need to be that parent that your child requires. And on that note, I would like to say thank you once more. Make sure you subscribe, you like, you share, you tell everyone in your community to join in these conversations and enrich themselves and their families. Thank you so much for having us today.